Today I'm answering the question, how do you fire your listing agent and what do you need to know? So stay tuned. Hey, Laura Gallant here with Mountain Prairie Living Empowered by ERA Shields, and welcome to my channel where I answer questions about the home buying and selling process, all the cool neighborhoods around Colorado Springs, and this beautiful place I get to live in, Colorado Springs. And today's video, I'm going to answer the question, how do you fire a listing agent and what do you need to know? So let's get into it. The first thing you need to understand is the listing contract is actually between you, the seller, and the brokerage. So for me, it would be ERA Shields, and I represent ERA Shields. But the actual contract is with the brokerage. So that's an important piece to understand and know. If you feel it's time to terminate the listing contract because you're just not in a good relationship with that listing agent, or you're not achieving the goals that they had promised or hoped for, or they weren't communicating well with you, whatever the reason is, the first person you go to is the listing agent and say, you know what, this isn't working. I would like to terminate my listing contract. Hopefully, a real estate professional probably knew that was coming, and they would say to you, no problem, I will remove or terminate the listing. I'll send a termination contract over to you, and I will remove the listing at that point. That's what you hope would happen. Sometimes they'll say, no, I got some skin in the game. I want to make sure I do this. If you get some backlash, your next step would be to go to the managing or employing broker, the brokerage, and have a conversation with that person. Now, when speaking with the managing or employing broker, it's really important to understand their first step is probably going to say, can I get you a different agent in the office to service you? Someone who can get you through this contract. So you could say, you know what, I'm just not comfortable with that and I'd like the contract to be terminated. And hopefully they will respect that decision and send over a contract termination. If they don't, you might be held to that, which personally isn't the best business practice. Most people, if we're not having a good relationship business-wise, they should let go of the contract. But keep in mind that the first step they're probably going to do is try to shift you to another agent in the office to hold that transaction and close it for you. When you do talk to that managing or employing broker, clearly define why you're making this decision. Tell them facts. They said this didn't happen, or this is what happened and I'm very uncomfortable now, I don't trust them. Whatever it is, it's really important that you do communicate that with the managing or employing broker so that they are aware of the situation. But definitely have a conversation with them and hopefully you will achieve the termination of the contract that you are hoping for. Now, some people don't like confrontation and they just decide, you know what, I'm just going to let this listing contract expire. Now, if you do choose to let it expire, there's something called a holdover period that you may be held liable for. So I want you to make sure you understand this. And hopefully the listing agent actually described it to you when you signed the contract. It's a period of time. It can be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, in which any buyer that was in the home and considering the home during the time that the listing contract was active, if they come back and later buy the home, you would still be liable or responsible for the commission of the sale of that house. So even if you hire another agent to list the home, you might owe 2 commissions. So it's really important that you pay attention to the holdover if you were to let the contract expire. If you were to terminate it, obviously that would be terminated. Another thing that your listing agent should go over with you in the contract and you would be held to is a fee for some of the expenses that they've spent out. So they might say, you know what, I'll hire that person, but I do want that money back if this transaction does not close. So it could be that they hired a handyman to fix a railing, or they hired a roofer to do a roof cert for the house, which is of benefit to you no matter when you sell it. So they may have written in the contract that you would owe them that money if the contract did not follow through. So pay attention to that paragraph and make sure that it is described to you, because if you do terminate the contract, you still may have a liability of money that you owe to the agency. So pay attention to that and make sure that you understand fully what you've signed as well as what you're trying to terminate. it's really important that you take time to hire the right listing agent. And it's going to be someone that you connect with, someone that you click with. And that's that listing presentation and the questions that you ask them during that time that are so critically important. So make sure you do your due diligence of interviewing a variety of listing agents. Don't just take the first one that walks in the door. Make sure that you listen carefully to what they're offering and that it meets the needs of what you were expecting that listing agent to do. At the end of the day, if you ask for a contract to be terminated and you're not under contract with a buyer at that point, a true professional will probably know that was coming and agree to let it go, because of course we want it to be a good working relationship. And if it's not going that way, it's probably not going that way for the real estate professional also. So they should let it go. So it should be a little bit simpler. Now, if you are under contract with a buyer, it becomes a little bit more tricky. So as I said before, the managing broker or the employing broker will probably hold that contract and get you another agent in the office to assist you and get that transaction to the closing table. So that can be handled that way. If you don't and you try to cancel that existing contract, there could be some ramifications of that for the buyer to you. So you want to be careful on that one. I hope this information was of value to you. I hope you never have to use any of this information, but if you're watching this video, you might have to. I'm so glad you're here. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend, and give it a thumbs up. I'd love your comments below if you've had some bad experiences. It might help me spark a video for you in the future to answer some questions. I'm so glad you are here. If you'd like to know more about preparing your house for a quick sale, then check out this video next. I will catch you on the next video. I'm so glad you're here and have a great day.